Hello and welcome to part 3 questions. Here I'm going to show you how to actually make questions for your students to answer. I'm going to start this off by showing you the question that I make the first question every time that I make a Google form. And I'm going to type it in right here. What is your name? Now you're going to notice it automatically switched it to short answer. And this software is pretty sophisticated, and based on what you're typing, it might be like, ooh, I think that this is a really good way to answer that question. I can always change it back to multiple choice if I want, but doing that for what is your name, I don't like, because then you have to type in all the students' name and they might hit the wrong button. So I just like having the students type it themselves. Now, down here, it says required. Right now it's in the on position, now it's off. So if it is off and they take this quiz, then it is not going to have them necessarily put their name on. So I always make all the questions required. That way they have to fill out each question. So if I go over here to the form that I created, what is your name? Mr. D. And boom, I've completed the form how it is right now. I can view my score, as I mentioned earlier. If you click the view score immediately after test, or immediately after quizzes. We're gonna go back here, we're gonna create another question. It is very easy to create a question. All you need to do is come over here to where it has a plus. Once you hover over it, it says add question. Boom, I wanna create another question. Now, I pulled a few images from Bridges that I thought would make good questions earlier. And the first one that I want to tackle is fill in the bubble to show the best estimate for each problem. Now, these problems from Bridges already show that it's multiple choice, so I'm going to keep it as a multiple choice question as I type it in and create this problem. Best estimate for each problem. And now, as you're noticing, it jumped around with what it is thinking would be the best choice for this a few times. And we're going to keep it multiple choice, as that's what the original said. Now, I like to be lazy. I don't want to type in 78 minus 29. I'm just going to insert an image. I'm going to upload, browsing my files, and then I save this as that file there. And it is going to embed the image right there in the question. So now I got my options over here that I want to add in for them to be able to click. And I got 30. I'm going to add another option. 40. Add another option. 50. And 60. Lastly, and I'll show it on this one even though I wouldn't use this on the question, there is add other. And over here, multiple choice, there is a second option if you want a different layout. You can come down here to multiple choice grid, which then allows you to have row over here of multiple choice and a row over here of multiple choice, but we're going to keep things simple and keep it as a regular multiple choice. All right. And there were 2 questions on this originally. So let's add that other one right now. I'm going to make this real easy on myself. I'm going to duplicate the question. It just copied that verbatim for me, because all these answers are the same answers that it had for the first one, same question for the first one. I just want to change that image. So this image here, I'm going to click on that. I'm going to click remove or change. I'm going to change it, but in a second, because I didn't actually screen cap that first one. So let's come over here. I'm going to crop this out in real time. You don't need to know how to do this. You can just do separate screen caps. I just didn't. I'm going to save that as the third one. 2 forms. And, oops, let me get that back over here. Change it to that. And in less than a minute, I built an exact duplicate, but just with a different image. So I got 2 questions done already. Let's go on to a different question type this time. I'm going to add another question. And let's see, what is the next thing I got in here for us all? Oh, not that one. Circle the appropriate words to fill in the blanks. So I'm going to start by adding the image again, clicking on that picture, clicking on browse. And that is the checkbox problem that I found. Now it is good to still type in the question. That way there is no doubt what they're supposed to do. And I want to change it to checkbox. Or, because I got 2 different categories, I'm going to actually make it a checkbox grid. And I can put in my 3 options: mass, length, volume. Then I'll have liters, kilograms, and grams. Actually, if I do this as a grid, I'd want it as a multiple choice grid. And I'll show you why right now. Because what that will have them do is they'll select if they want it to be mass in liters, if they want it to be kilograms in length, or volume in kilograms. Or I could keep things simple, just make it check boxes. And then when we refresh the page, it deleted 3 of them because of how the row was set up, but I can easily add those back in. Liters. Oh, it already has liters. I need mass, length, and volume. And so instead of having that grid, which might be a little more complicated for younger grades, they're able to be like, okay, I select one of these 3 and one of these 3 for the right answer. And then the last problem type I'm going to show you is a free response one. So again, I'm clicking on that to add in another image. Story problem. For these story problems, I would just type in the solve each subtraction problem, type that into the question, and then I'd have the A, B, C be their own separate ones. It is a story problem, so I'll make it short answer. And then students will be able to type in an answer easy peasy on the form. Now you'll notice right now I got a red star on all of these problems. That means that they are all required. If I did not have that purple, oops, that purple box check down here next to the required, it wouldn't have the star, meaning students would not have to answer it before moving on and they could leave it blank. We will continue this in part 4 answers, where I show you how to make those answers automatically grade themselves.